Good evening, short story writers. Again, a very quick prompt this evening. Not thankfully an everyday item. This is something I saw in a reaction video on YouTube, and I think the word is a fail. Somebody had committed a crime, burglary, and in fact there were three of these in this particular video. The person had left their ID behind. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to write that story. Now, you can either write it from the point of view of the person who has been broken into, and they find the person's ID. There's a wallet in one of them, a car number plate in another, and the third one was, I believe, a driving license or something like that. So you could detail their attempts to get revenge. So they don't go to the police, they decide to hunt this person down by themselves and give them a taste of their own medicine. With a twist, maybe. And we'll come to that in a moment. You could also possibly write it from the point of view of the person who performed the action. They performed the crime, the misdemeanor, the whatever you wish to call it. Now, how about the twist? What if the evidence was a plant? It's the wallet stroke, driving license stroke, car number plate of somebody that the crime committing criminal wants to frame. And what if it's a perfectly innocent person? What if in fact it's not somebody that anybody... You know when people swap number plates on cars in films so that the surveillance cameras will think that their car is somewhere else. So they run a check on it and they find out that in fact said car with said number plates was all the time in, we'll just pick a city, shall we, Miami, okay, or London, and the robbery with the number plates on was committed several hundred miles away. But the person whose car it was and legitimately owns those number plates has a lot of explaining to do. So there's several possible twists here. Either the wallet, car number plate, driving license belong to a completely innocent person and they were pickpocketed as a way of throwing a decoy, or they belong to somebody who the criminal wants to get revenge on. And that actually would be a way back to them, because then they might say, go and check this person out and see if it's them, because we've got dealings. So it could be something which backfires on them in the end. But anyway, that basically is your story. And running through the genres as usual, if it's kind of historical, it could be done in the past using old FBI techniques as part of a series of Dashiell Hammett type stories. There would be crime, thriller and action as well. Autobiographical, I'm sure there must be people who were a case of mistaken identity. Not miscarriage of justice, because quite often that hinges on they did actually do the crime, but the forensic evidence was a bit warped, so they went to prison. And they should have gone to prison, but in some cases, in others it was completely false identity, or the jury was rigged, or whatever. in the case of literary fiction, this could be a living nightmare for somebody. They are being investigated by the police. Well, imagine that you are suspected of committing a crime and you didn't commit it, but how are your family going to react? How's everybody else going to react? Will work keep you on? It depends on the nature of the crime as well. So there's a lot there which could go into literary fiction. There's a case of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. It could be somebody in sci-fi particularly who is a technical person on the side of criminals trying to find ways to get them off the hook so that they steal cyber identities for people to commit crimes under. And in the case of horror and or fantasy, maybe the monsters just do this. They adopt personae of living actual people in order to commit their horrors. Okay, that's it for tonight. And if you found that in any way inspiring or getting your own creative juices going, then hit the like button, consider subscribing, and happy writing. And I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.